All right, it's now recording for those that may not be with us or have something going on at 3 o'clock. I know it's a little bit of later class, but thank you for being here. Okay, so here is lesson 3. We're going into basically like the third week of this block. Pretty crazy how fast it's flying through. I wanted to go over a couple things. This is what you should have done so far, okay? So you should have quizzes 1.01, 1.02, 1.03, 2.04, 2.05, 3.06, and 3.07. As you can see how I marked them, these are in the lessons. So the first number is the lesson, and then the second number is which quiz it is, like number it is throughout the whole entire class. So how are you guys doing on the quizzes and everything like that? I actually have students that are completely finished with the class already. They decided to watch all the videos, get them all done, and retake any. So I have a couple kids that are completely done. How is everybody else doing on the class? You guys doing all right? Why don't you give me a smiley or a green check if everything's going good, and X if you still thing. Okay, somebody said a bit slow. That's okay. It takes a little while to get used to what's going on, okay? Yep, as soon as you get the thing, you just watch the video, take the quiz. That's what you're graded on. If you're having issues with the quiz, you can retake it as many times as you want, okay? So that's a good hint right there, okay? All right, very good. Okay, so what's due the end of this week? And so you probably have noticed now that I put in grades on Monday morning, okay? And I kind of run a report to see who's there. I may have texted you and you already have caught up, but I want you to let you know that's when I run the report, okay? So I want you to get them done by the end of this week. So this week, there's actually quite a few in lesson 4, okay? You got 4.08, 4.09, 10, 11, 12. Oops, I put down 12 twice. Or I just can't count. I don't know what I was thinking. And then you have lesson 5 on number 13, okay? So the stuff we're going over today will just supplement what's on these lessons, okay? Does that make sense? Give me a green check if you're ready to move on. Good to go. Don't have any questions. Okay, very good. All right. Okay, so today what we're going to be doing, we're going to talk a lot about what's called cost of living, and how your education, how much education you get affects how much you can splurge on yourself, right? What kind of lifestyle you want to live. So that's something you want to think about as you're moving forward, as you're looking at a place to work, things you want to do. You got to find out one, a good place to live, right? So if you're living in California, it's going to be a lot more expensive, or New York, it's going to be a lot more expensive than Utah. So there's this something called the cost of living calculator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to screen share real quick, and we're going to take a look at this cost of living calculator here, okay? So, for example, let's put this here. Let's say we were living in New York, okay? So that's New York City, New York, okay? And we're moving to, where does somebody live? What city do you guys live in? Anybody want me to put down their city? Just type it in the chat real quick. Harriman. Okay, let's see if Harriman is up there. Sometimes they don't actually have. Oh, there we go. Harriman, Utah. Okay. Let's just calculate it real quick. See what it does. Okay. So it's 55% lower than living in New York, New York. Okay. And so this is something kind of interesting. So it says how expensive things are as you go over it. I'm gonna give you guys this link that you can play around with if you like to. So if you look, like overall it's down 56% more, less. Your groceries are 24% less. Housing's 77% less. Utilities that much transportation, healthcare. As you can kind of see, other major cities. So it's actually cheaper to live in Phoenix, Arizona than it is Harriman. Okay, Miami, Florida. Okay, it's 11% more. Alaska's more. Sorry. Dallas, Texas, a little bit more. Knoxville, Tennessee is pretty cheap to live in. Chicago, you'd be in a little bit. Okay, so you can kind of use this to kind of see where you're at. So what I'm going to do, I'll push this out to you guys. Put it in the chat there, so you guys can mess around with that if you'd like. But it's kind of fun to see how much it would cost to live in certain areas. So I hear a lot of people say, hey, I want to move out of Utah. I want to go like that. Well, make sure you can afford to move out of Utah. Okay, that's a good thing to think about as you're moving forward. Okay. Okay, so we're going to talk about, first off, career impact on income. Okay, do you guys have any idea of what kind of job you want to have when you grow up? I want to put that in the chat real quick. What kind of job do you have? Okay, so somebody says maintenance. What kind of maintenance? Do you have a specified thing? Oh, so just kind of general maintenance? Housing, cars? What are there? Criminologist. Very cool. Okay. Anybody else? I didn't think I'd ever become a teacher, but I did. It's probably because I went to school too long. A dietitian, all right. Very good. Any other thoughts of what you want to be? Okay, when you're thinking about this, you got to think of a couple questions. One, how does your career choice affect your income? Okay. So for example, myself being a teacher, I don't make a ton of money as a teacher, but I have to supplement it by working. I have some little businesses that I run on the side. Okay, so you got to think about that, right? Am I going to have to work 2 jobs just to make ends meet, right? So look at how much those make. Okay, what employee characteristics are important to an employer? Okay, so you talk about the criminologist field. Okay. One thing about the criminologist field is that you're going to have to not have any probably misdemeanors or anything like that. So you got to stay a good boy or girl, I guess, as you're growing up, right? So somebody once told me as well, like, if I ever became a gym teacher, which I'm actually certified to teach gym, but I don't do it. But, you know, if I was a really, really big person, would that be a good idea, right? People would think that I don't really care about health. So the dietitian part of it, okay? Okay, how does education and salary affect our things? We're going to talk about that. And what's an entrepreneur, okay? Does anybody know what an entrepreneur is? Just real quick. Thrown out there. What's an entrepreneur? Okay, a person that makes their own business, okay? Make their own business a business type person. Very good. Okay, so there's something called earning power, okay? It's generally in our society, people with a higher education earn more money, okay? Those with less skills and less education earn less money. And I always say that just in general because there's some people that are just brilliant, right? And they can become an entrepreneur and make things. But usually, the more educated you are, the more money you make. So let's look at some figures real quick. A high school dropout with no degree is going to be making about $19,000 a year. You may think, wow, that's a lot of money. Yeah, no, it's not, right? You throw in rent that you have to do, car payments, children possibly. It's not a lot of money, okay? High school diploma, you're going to be making almost $10,000 more, okay? Yeah, and somebody said not compared to a graduate degree. Yep, high school diploma, you'll earn almost $10,000 more. So get through these classes, pass my class, okay? So you can make $10,000 more on average, okay? If you have 2 years of college, okay, associate's degree, you're going to be making another $8,000 above that, Okay, if you do 4 years, you're going to be making almost almost double of what a high school person diploma. Okay, and then if you get a post degree, that's like a master's degree, Juris Doctorate, which is being a lawyer, doctors, that kind of stuff. The average person who does that makes $67,000, which is or $67,000 a year. So that's a lot more. So you can see this education is very important as you're going up. Okay, you know, somebody they wanted to be in maintenance. Well, if you get certificates and training from like the advanced technical college, you're going to make a lot more money than if you didn't get that. You know, and there's some good things and bad things, because I mean, you have to pay money into it and invest in yourself in order to get this money back, but it's going to be a lot better over the run. Okay, so this is just an example. Okay, so if Jill has a new job at a car wash making $7.20 an hour, and she works 42 hours a week and makes time and a half, plus you have to get rid of taxes, okay, or what we call withholdings. How much are you going to make? So this is about minimum wage. Okay, so if I brought up a calculator here, I should probably do that. You probably can't see my calculator on my screen, but that's okay. I'm going to pop it up real quick anyways. So if I go 720, and you guys can do this too, times 42 hours, that gives me $320 a week, or $302 a week. Times that by 4 weeks, which is a month, so you make $1,200 a month. You got to times 0.1, which is 10%. $120 is being taken out of that for taxes, all that kind of stuff, which we're going to talk about. So basically, you're going to make like $950 a month. Well, let me tell you how much rent costs around these parts these days. Around $900 a month. So you could only pay your rent. You wouldn't have any food. You wouldn't have anything else, okay? So minimum wage, as you can see here, isn't going to cut it. Okay? So let's talk about a career versus a job. What would you say the difference is between a career or job? Any thoughts? I want to put them in the chat real quick. Or what I'll do real quick, why don't you guys write on the board what's the difference between a career and job? I'm going to give you guys rights to do that. Give you a second. Write on this board right here, difference between a career and a job. Guys, for instance, it says career has a path for growth. Okay, jobs don't. I like that. Jobs is no fun. Career's a blast. Yeah, I think if you go into something that you love, right, it's more of fun, right? Because you've trained to do it. That's what you want to do, right? So somebody says careers are longer, jobs are shorter. Yeah, jobs kind of like something to get by. Like, let me tell you, so my nephew, what he's doing for a job right now is he is going and cleaning carpets. Okay, not very fun, right? And he travels throughout Utah, but he's training for a career to be a pilot. He loves flying, right? He loves doing that, but he's to pay the bills right now and to pay for his schooling, because he has to go through school to be a pilot, get his pilot's license. He's having to do that, okay? So some key things that you need as an employee: basic skills, thinking skills, information management, technology. Technology is huge these days. Personal skills, you have to get along with your employees, right? Customer service, other people you work with. Interpersonal skills, be able to kind of manage those things, okay? All right, so has anybody ever been interviewed before? If you've never been interviewed before, they'll ask you some questions, okay? So you may want to come back and take a look at some of these questions that they may ask you at some point in time, right? So Why do you want this job? Okay. Tell me of your education. Tell me about yourself. Okay. And you don't want to go about myself like, oh, you just want to tell like brief kind of snippets to kind of share who you are, how you work, that interpersonal kind of stuff that we talked about that employees are looking for. Because they're going to choose the best candidate, and usually the better companies prefer somebody that is well-rounded in all different areas. Okay, so we talked a little bit about an entrepreneur before. Somebody said it's a person who makes their own business. It's a business person type. An entrepreneur is somebody willing to take risks. Okay, they create their own business from scratch. I have done that before. They're also what's called self-employed. I teach to make sure I get all the money in, and then I do my business on the side so I can make some extra money. So I guess I don't take as much risk as some of the other people that are entrepreneurs that just do it themselves. They have a strong sense of discipline. They're their own boss, and they have to beat the competition, okay? So you have to have some kind of product that you're running, and you have to be better than everybody else so your business keeps going and keeps being established. Okay, so there's some big risks and rewards with being an entrepreneur. Does anybody want to own their own business someday out there? So he said, heck yeah. Okay, anybody else? Nah. I think there's some good benefits. There's not some really ones. Some risk, there's not a regular paycheck. There's long hours sometimes. You have to assume debt for the business. So there's some things like that. Some rewards is you get to be your own boss. You get to keep your profits. You could make a lot of money, right? You get to be creative and find new ways to do things. So it's kind of fun. So if that's something that interests you and stuff like that, talk to me. I'll give you some ideas. Okay, we already talked a little bit about the value of education, but we're going to continue on with that. We already saw this chart right here, as you see the discrepancy between no high school diploma and a lot of education. So make sure you at least get this. You're going to make $10,000 more if you have that high school diploma. I mean, how hard is it just to put it, get it down and get that high school diploma, okay? So that's the first step, and then I want to get you guys into some kind of form of college or technical school. Okay, so education pays, as you see here, this is the weekly minimum earnings. So per week, a person with a doctoral degree is making $1,500. So you pull that's about $6,000 a month. Professional degree, you're about the same, $6,000 a month. Master's degree, the same. Less than a high school diploma, you're about less than $500 a week that you would return. And you can see here as well, the majority of people that are unemployed that don't have work do not have a high school diploma. Okay, so to stay employed, you need to get that high school diploma, okay? Okay, we're going to do to everybody's favorite thing, taxes and deductions. Does everybody like paying taxes, right? When you go to the store and you buy something, you have what's called sales tax. And so it costs a little bit more, or you go out to eat. Okay, so everybody says taxes. It's like, yeah, taxation is a thief. Yep. So there's ways that you can limit your tax liability, is what they call it. Business owners do this all the time. That's one of the reasons I have a small business. But there's different kind of tax forms and stuff you guys need to be familiar with as we're going through here, okay? And I'm not going to give you the whole thing. The tax code is so complicated. You can go to school for years and years and years all upon taxes and tax code and they have tax lawyers, they have accountants, they have stuff like that of how to do your taxes and stuff like that, okay? So you have two kind of terms here. You have what's called your gross income, okay? That's all of the money you make before taxes and deductions, okay? And then you also have what's called your net income. So after taxes are taken out, after any deductions are taken out, then that's what you get in your paycheck. Okay, so you have gross and net. So gross is always going to be higher, and then your net is basically what you get. And I think of this as like money kind of raining down, and then whatever you catch at the very end after it filters through your taxes and everything else, then you get that that net income there. Okay. All right, so your gross minus your deductions is your net income. So required payroll deductions, okay? So if you are not a business owner, you're required and you're an employee, you have to pay certain things, okay? You have to pay what's called Social Security tax. It's also known as FICA tax, and I'll talk to you about that. So that's where a lot of our programs where it pays the elderly that have paid into the system before, kind of for retirement to help them live. You also have to pay your federal and local taxes, and then you also have something called Medicare, which is for the elderly for their health care, and then you also have Medicaid that goes into some of those programs that are in federal and state taxes. Okay, so those are taken out of your paycheck even before you see any of that money. Okay. Some other things, which is called voluntary payroll taxes, is something you can take out of your thing before taxes are taken out. So this kind of helps you of how much taxes you have to pay at the end of the year. How much does it take total? Very good question. So usually it's a percentage. Okay, so what you do is you fill out what's called a W-2, and I may have taken out this slide just because of time-wise, but you fill out a W-2 of how many exemptions you want, because the higher amount of money you make, the higher tax bracket you're in, and it's a percentage of what you make, okay, minus your deduction. So if you're making $80,000 a year, you're going to pay more than somebody that's making $20,000 a year into taxes. Okay, so it just really depends on how much money you make. So if you're not making very much money, you can put that you have so many dependents and stuff like that, and they won't take as much money out. But then you have to balance that during tax season when you file your taxes. So sorry, there's not really I wish there was just saying, hey, it's 10%, hey, it's 20 or 15. I wish I could say that, but they make it pretty complicated. So sorry I couldn't be of more help, Samuel. Yeah, sorry, there's never a good answer, especially when you're working with government agencies, okay? Okay, so health insurance. So you have to carry health insurance or you get penalized with taxes. Okay, health insurance, sometimes your employer will do it. Sometimes your employer gives you money, but you have to have health insurance through some portion or you get penalized. Okay, you can also put some money down into what's called retirement, 401ks, Roth IRAs. There's all kinds of retirement systems that you can put in pre-taxed, which is kind of nice. But when you take it out of retirement, it is taxed after that. Except if you have a Roth or some other financial planners could help you out there. Then also, if you're like in a union, you could have union dues, and then also charitable donations can be taken out of payroll things. So if you have some kind of charity thing you donate to, you can take that out. So what are taxes for? Well, taxes are to help our government be able to function, to run. So you think about police officers, you think about, teachers. Yeah, we get kind of paid through some taxes, certain kind of taxes. Also, other kind of goods and services like roads that we build, all of that kind of stuff is based upon taxes. Okay, the revenue that they get from taxes, all different types of taxes. Okay. Okay, we have Social Security tax. Sorry, you can probably hear my kids in the background. I need to get them to go upstairs. Hold on real quick.
Recording started.
Sorry about that. Kids, you know, they make all kinds of fun things. And they're expensive too. Yeah. All right. Anyway, so you got Social Security, which, as I said, helps dependents. It also helps disabled people that are unable to help themselves. Okay. They make viral YouTube. Yeah, I saw that one where that he was doing an interview on TV, and then his kids start crawling in, and you could see his wife like at the bottom, like grab. Have you guys ever seen that YouTube video? It's pretty funny. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. You guys, if you haven't checked it out, put like North Korea interview with kids or something like that, and it's pretty funny. I'd have to share it with you sometime. But that's how I feel all the time trying to teach here. Oh, kids. Okay, anyways, so benefits for disabled, that's where Social Security goes to. Then you have Medicare, as if you reach the age of 65, or people that have benefits from that, so with mental disorders, that kind of stuff, they get on Medicare, and they're able to receive health care because it gets way expensive when you get old, and people just can't afford it. So some other taxes that you may see: property taxes. Okay, so I own my home and I have to pay taxes on it. Okay, it's called property tax. Sales tax, you guys have probably been hit by this one quite a bit. As you go out, buy food, buy anything, sales tax will hit. Gasoline tax. Okay, every time I fill up my car or my truck, so much money of that goes to the government. And they actually were trying to increase it a 10% tax, 10-cent tax. You may have heard that before in the last elections. They were trying to increase that 10%. 7% was going to go to roads, 3% was going to go to, or 3 cents was going to go to schools. I don't believe it passed. I have to double check, but I'm pretty sure it didn't pass. So when you guys turn 16, or if you're driving already, gas will be a little bit lower unless they do pass it. Who knows? Okay, and then you have local and city taxes that go into maintaining that kind of stuff. Okay, what are taxes used for? We already talked about before: bridges, road maintenance, research, education, armed service, so that's how your military's paid, all that kind of stuff, retirement income for elderly, social programs, physical, human and community development, law enforcement, and then anything that helps. One of the things is decreasing the national debt. We're going to be talking about the national debt and how it keeps climbing and stuff like that, and how we keep borrowing against things. So it just depends on how you feel about debt, I guess. We'll see. Okay, that ends us to the very end. Okay, so if you do have questions, please contact me. None of you guys are my concurrent enrollments class, so we just have the classes on Tuesday. But feel free to contact me whenever. I'm going to get to some of you guys' private chats. I am going to open up this. Well, I want to take you all the way to the beginning real quick for those that maybe have jumped in. So this is what should be done, and this is what's due this week. Okay, so I'm going to open up my slides so you guys can move around if you need to see anything. But I'm going to stay on for a little bit to chat, get some of your guys' private messages, that kind of stuff. And but if not, you guys can take off, keep working on those quizzes, right? Watch the videos, take the quiz. If you don't get the score you want to on the quiz, retake the quiz. Watch the video again, retake the quiz. Okay? All right, thank you guys for coming. As I said, I try to keep it short because I know it's the last class of the day, and it just gets crazy and you get out and do stuff. So have a great day. We'll see you guys next Tuesday, and let me know if you have anything. The only class for me. Oh, really? Well, you're lucky. Nope, no exit tickets. You guys are good to go. Appreciate you guys. See ya.